Welcome back to the New Alliance podcast with your host Alicia Solomon and myself, Megan Hines, where every week we talk about the challenge. And we are very close to the final. We are on episode 10. And this week we saw someone officially take the last bow. And we see more people get a little bit hyped. Yeah, there's some tears shed as well. And somebody wins their first challenge. And I was so happy for her.
Yikes. I mean, the tears, the win, like it was all it was a lot.
Yeah, very much a lot. But we come back into this episode, and Chris is back, and he doesn't know where things lay with the survivor people. People don't know where his ties lie, and the pieces gotta get picked back up together. The relationships gotta get mended between him and the girls. But things look on up and up of him just taking accountability and owning everything, and they can move on.
Okay. Because this whole Chris crying, Michelle running into the room like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Like the whole episode in general and just Chris coming back into the house after what he did. It's like, come on. Like why are we trying to even give him this kind of arc so early on in the game? Like, please. He lied to everyone. Let's all move on. Like, we don't need to feel sorry for him. We don't need to dissect and figure out why he did X, Y, and Z. It is what it is. Like, you show your true colors once you do some bullshit, and that's what he did. Like, I'm tired of people like, oh my God, Chris, I feel so bad, and oh, it's like, bro, I don't know what's going on, but Chris gotta go. Like, Chris gotta go. Like, that's just the bottom line. That's just ridiculous to me.
It's like you were being a menace last week, and then now all of a sudden you're a lone wolf. You did it to yourself. Just let it be, own it, stand in it, and move on. If nobody was right with you, cool. Just fight your ass off in the challenges and fight for immunity. That's it. So, well, we see how relationship with the girls go later on. Then Josh and Wes have a chat about being so close to the final. Josh is like, I've never been to a final, but I am itching to make it to the final. And we're in prime position to get into the final. All the while he's saying this, Wes is like, yeah. They cut to Wes in the confessional. Is like, well, Josh, I don't think you're cut out to make it to the final.
This was like a sick edit on Josh's mind. Like this whole episode, like I just like, why did he feel so strongly about Wes? And Wes could give two shits less than a rat's ass on how he feels. Like Josh is just, bro, I can't. Insane, insane.
The dichotomy of their relationship, because literally just a couple years ago, Josh tried to make Wes out to be an enemy of his when he got power, and Wes was like, "We're not enemies. We're not equals." Now all of a sudden, because there is a vet alliance, Josh was like, "Oh, like Wes is my friend. We're cool. We're in a good place." Wes don't care about you. You at the bottom of that alliance in the first place. So I don't know why you feel so compelled. I guess in his mind, him and Wes are like really cool and like brothers really close. That's not the case. This man's been laughing at you for years. Like, I don't feel
Still
like him.
to laugh at him, like because he actually shed tears off of actions that he made behind Wes, and it's like he was having this conversation. First of all, Wes looked so disinterested in the conversation while running on the treadmill. Like he's just like, mm-hmm. And Josh is pouring his heart and soul out. It's like, come on now, like Josh, get a hint, read the room, do something with yourself. Like, please move along. It's just crazy that he kept doing the same thing over and over with Wes. And like the fact that it was just between Wes and Bananas being so confident in himself, I'm like, oh brother, like sure.
I was like, Josh, I was taking the Lululand, but I leave that over there. But we go to a daily challenge, and it is called Go the Distance. And this is played in men and women's heats, where the players will start on a platform and they have to run towards a baton that's hanging over it. And for each baton they have to like get to, it gets harder and harder because it gets further out from the platform. And if the person grabs the baton, they stay in the game. If they don't, they're automatically out. Um, and for the man and woman who win, they'll get to pick two. We'll get to pick two people, obviously, man and woman, to go into elimination. But TJ lets them know that not one person is leaving, but two. And they're like, right before you said it's like, oh, I would think for y'all. And they're like, don't tell us what it is. And he says, it's a double elimination day. It's like, oh.
I thought it was gonna be partners. Thought it was gonna be something else that they were gonna try to add to the end to get people out. But I'm glad it was a double elimination because honestly, it's just like a lot of the people still left. It's no, I don't even know how some of them lasted so far. Like Alyssa, shout out to you. She lasted way longer than I thought she was going to. Like, girl, congratulations. Tyler, same to you, boo. Like, all of y'all just chugging along. I'm like, why are they still here? Like, so late in the game.
Well, they got to keep somebody because they were scared of Monty.
Okay.
And then
No. We won't do that. we won't. We won't do that here on this platform.
Well, I'm
Absolutely
saying,
not.
I don't like that man. Let me
I
make
don't.
this play clear.
No.
Let me.
We're not pro Monty. We're not con. We don't care. We don't need to make an exception for him.
All I'm saying is that they wanted that man out, and then by proxy, Tyler had a relationship with Betsy, so he wasn't leaving anytime soon. And that vet alliance was not really as much targeting the layups that are still there that are Alyssa and Tyler. But that's why they're still there. But now it's time to cut the loose ends, i.e., Tyler, Alyssa, and Kathy, who was crying at the end of the show. Girl, that's how the ball rolls. We'll get to you later on. But yeah. Tired of her. And I know people on Twitter are like, oh, mother, y'all, just because she did. Anyways, let me not out. I'm sorry. But back to the daily challenge. And we get the first round of the women. It's Alyssa, Desi, Chanel, Cassidy, and Michelle. And immediately, Michelle thought she ain't reached that baton. Desi and Cassidy, they jumped, they move on. Chanel and Alyssa both missed the baton. So out of that first round for the ladies, Desi and Cassidy, we're good.
Yeah, I was glad that Michelle missed because Michelle, she got to go next too. Like she's on the chopping block next to me, wondering what's going on in the show and why she's still here because her whole ploy is ridiculous. Like her crying, her just enough of her. And freaking Cassidy, ma'am, she's on the level of Josh. Like her and Josh and like on the Delulu flight that they taking off on, she right there hand in hand, seat by seat with Josh on that flight because no one cares about you that much for you to feel like you have to attack and have words and just start barking back at people for no reason. Like, girl, give it up, please, please.
Yeah. In the round two, well, the first, no, not round two. The next part of the first round was Michaela and Tori. Michaela, summoned the spirit of Darrell with the heights, but
No, I completely agree. Because I was like, what in the Darrell is going on with Michaela? Like, what's happening, sis? Like, she literally started having a panic attack and was like hysterically crying on the platform. And I'm just like, did I realize, or did I don't think she's played the game long enough for me to realize that she's afraid of heights. But also, I don't know if we've had other heights on this season that I can remember that we would have seen like a visceral reaction from Michaela, maybe except for the planking over the ocean. But like, she didn't seem any different, or I don't think they showed us anything. So I'm just like, I was so lost to how fast she went from like being Michaela to doing everything to all of a sudden she over here boohoo crying like Darrell on top of the platform. I'm like, what's going on?
I don't know. I guess because of how the distance that it was, they had to really jump off it for that last one. But she was immediately crying. I get it. It's heights. I don't like heights. But she had that spirit around the whole time. But I'm like, man, you are you beasted it. She she mustered up the strength, she beasted it. But in that round, both her and Tori managed to catch the batons. Michaela was like, if I just get through this first one, I'm good. But as she kept getting the baton, she kept having her panic attack. I was like, ma'am, you got this. Let it, like, let go and let God. That's it.
Yeah, she couldn't do that in that moment. Like, she was so hysterical the next two times that she went, that it was just like, Michaela, like, where did this come from? That's what I was just like. And she was so emotional. Like, you can see her when she got off of at least one of the batons she got, and she got in the boat, and she was still like super emotional and high. I was just like, girl, where was this at? And I hope this is not in the final, because good luck to you now. Like,
Yeah. I was like I get it. Because that's but you keep, the thing is, she kept catching the baton.
it was such a mind over matter thing for her. Like, she could literally do anything, but she's literally like just putting her mind. She's like, I'm afraid of the heights. It's like she's eating her fear, eat her up, and it's so like, it's crazy to see. Like, girl, just let it go. Like, she literally has it, and she's just, I don't know, she's in her own head.
Yeah, and I was like, I did feel bad. I was like, damn, like if that was me, I would do the same thing. That spirit of the road would be within me as well. But as I am still getting to these batons, I gotta dry them tears and just get through it. So round three, obviously, Michaela got the baton. But she was a rep on that last jump, obviously. Um, Debbie grabbed her baton, Tori missed, so it was just between Debbie and Michaela for the winner of this challenge. And by the grace of God, Michaela grabbed that last baton that was furthest away from that platform.
Yep. Again, Michaela was just fighting her fear at the time. Like, she literally could have done it, anything, and she literally won. Like, Desi was right there. Desi missed hers. Michaela got it. Like, for all of that boo-hooing, she won. It was just like, it felt like I was looking at Michaela tussle with herself. Like, girl, please just gather yourself and get it together. But I'm glad that she won. She got her first win of the whole season. Like, as she's hyped as she should be, because it's a double elimination. I'm pretty sure somebody was going to try to get her out next. So I'm glad that she was able to win and get that for herself, get that badge on her.
Yeah, because sorry. Defeating your fears and winning is what I love to see. And she did that. So let's hope that there isn't anything heights related in the final. But she got this. Um, we get to the guys round. And in the first round for the guys, it is Tyler, Josh, Corey, Fessy, and Bananas all of them grabbed their batons in that first round. Then Chris and Wes went. Wes done missed the baton completely, and Chris managed to get his baton.
You know, Wes was talking a whole lot of ish this episode, and I completely knew every time when he would miss. Like he was hyping himself up so much, and I was just like, he gonna lose. Like every time I saw Wes's episode, I'm just like, he gonna lose. Like you just keep gassing yourself up so much to the point where it's just like I don't even believe you. Like I don't even think he has it within him, which is like crazy to say because Wes is one of the best players to have ever played this game. But like, bro, I don't even see it now. Like you are washed up, sir, terribly, and you got beaten by Chris. Like, please,
Twice. And so in round two, Josh wasn't. Josh was out immediately in round two. Was the only guy to not grab his baton. Chris ran by himself and still got his baton.
yeah. I mean, again, this was Chris' quote unquote redemption arc until the next round, but he was having a good old time, you know, getting on the platform, going against Wes, going against himself, because he was trying to win to at least keep himself safe after the whole bunch of BS that he did the week before. So it was just like Chris was just having a good old time with himself. Like it was really Chris and Chris only.
Yeah. And then in round three, it was just Fessy and Bananas and Chris. And Bananas and Fessy managed to grab the baton. Then in round four, it was Bananas versus Fessy. Did I want to see Bananas in power this week? No. Would I mind another Fessy win? Sure, because he's neutral. And he would actually make a big move. Bananas would just do whatever. But Fessy was able to, well, before they even like got to do the actual that last round, they made a deal with one another, like, yo, don't say my name, we're good. Bananas gave, I don't want to say he gave Fessy the win because Fessy just got it himself, but Bananas just fell short from the baton. And Fessy grabbed the baton, which meant that Fessy won this daily for the guys.
I was actually surprised that he was able to get so far. But once he got to the third round against Bananas, I was like, okay, I'm kind of rooting for Fessy to win. Like you said, Fessy's been neutral. It seems like this whole time, even though he has Big Brother that he's trying to save in Tyler and Alyssa, I think that for the most part this season, for me, Fessy has not been his usual Fessy self. And I know we've seen a clip of him in the trailer going at Johnny. We never got to saw that, by the way, production. Why would you put that in the trailer and you never show it? But okay, cool. But Fessy, for the most part, on this season has been chill. Like he's been level-headed. He seems more mature. He seems more ready to go in the final and actually do something in the final. So I was rooting for Fessy. I'm like, all right, go ahead, Fessy. Like, please get Bananas out of here. And he did. And I was like, all right, so this is like a good notch for you when you're going to, like into the final eventually or next week. Just momentum for him to kind of like match himself up because that's what he wants to do so bad, which Josh thinks he's on that level and he's completely not.
Yeah. This thing, like, I think Josh thinks he's Fessy, and Fifi how that works out for Fessy sometimes. But anyways, Michaela and Fessy, they win this daily, and they will have to decide the people essentially going into elimination for this week because, like we said, it's a double elimination. So somebody, a man or woman, both a man and woman are going home this week. So they are really picking who to go in, point blank, period. Michaela talks to Desi and Chanel, and she said that she didn't want to vote for Cassidy or Alyssa. She would rather just cut out the middle. I made thought about Michelle. Then she was like, "Oh, vote in for Tori." Desi was like, "Let's not do that." because then if they put in Tori, then people are gonna be start looking at Desi and Chanel as options to go in.
Yeah. And Desi said it right when she was like, Michaela's moving kind of selfish. At this point, she's going to move how she needs to move for her game. Like, Tori is a number that she's been wanting to get out. So it wasn't surprising that she put it on the table. Now, it makes sense after going back and Desi and Chanel being like, listen, that's automatically going to put us up against them. And we don't need that, you know? So Michaela's like, all right, I got to kind of readjust to see what's going on. But as for Michelle, girl, I don't want to see her in any more alliances with Desi, Chanel, Michaela if they ever come back in any iteration of this game. Like, just move on with Michelle. Just wipe her ass clean, furthest away from you. Because please, she just sits there and tries to get in people's good graces and oh my god, this person's my friend. Oh my god, I gotta say first. It's just like, girl, at some point you're gonna have to turn against each other. This is the point. This is why you don't have huge alliances when you're in the house because obviously it starts to get messy. So now everybody's trying to scramble like, well, who are we gonna get out next? Like, hello, this is what you should have figured out beforehand. But whatever. Like, Michelle, I wish she would just go. Like, I know we're about to see her on 39, and it's just like, bro, like, you need to leave. Like, you need to leave. Like, I just can't with her at this point. But shout out to Michaela for the win. Shout out to Desi and Chanel for standing strong. And Chanel, I'm rooting for Chanel hard. Because at the end, with Cassie, we'll get to it, but I'm rooting for Chanel hard because Chanel is clocking T, and I like it.
I need Chanel to actually step it up because she hasn't been doing well the last two challenges. I need her to back up the talk. That's what I need. But we get to nominations with Fessy and Michaela. Michaela asks like what's the best bet we should go in. Fessy advised that they not vote for someone that they would end up having blood on their hands with who might come back and target them because they could be at risk of going in next week. He would rather just vote for to put themselves in the best position in the final. Whether it is like putting in layups of sorts like Alyssa, Cassidy, Chris, I guess, at this point. Tyler as well. Um, but they could go after the big people like Bananas, Wes, Tori, but he was iffy on that. So they just decided to vote for Alyssa and Chris because they've said their names most times before. Like, but he's like, I'm just gonna stand on just voting in Chris because I've said his name, be a little bit off, and Alyssa just because it's Alyssa. I mean, she's been doing well this season, but compared to the other girls, she's the odd man out aside from Cassidy.
Yeah, I think when Fessy again, Fessy's been neutral this whole season, but I think this episode he kind of like made his game plan put out there, and it was just like, okay, this makes sense for how you want to get to the final, essentially, and just playing it cool and under the radar until until you have what you need to put things in place to get the bigger players out, and then you can do that. But as for, I think the whole Alyssa thing, he was kind of done with her. He was like, I saved her last week. I'm not gonna save her again. Like, it is what it is with Alyssa. He kind of wiped his hands. Cassidy's the only Cassidy and Michelle, but I think he didn't want to say Michelle because of the thing that they had prior. Whatever, cool. But I think Cassidy was really the only logical vote that they could have did to save, each other going forward, like for next week, because Michaela doesn't know if she's gonna win. Now you got Tori on your head, and Tori can just do this to everybody, and then they're gonna turn on you real quick.
Yeah. The Hopper votes showed the balls showed Alyssa and Chris. Alyssa got emotional, needed her space. Ty was like, "Do you want me to not to people to come in the room so that she can vent and cry?" Um, Chris was in the confessional. Michelle and Cassie came in and was like, "Oh, just let you know it is you. And that's when Michelle was like, "Are you okay?" Chris was fine. He was just like gathering his thoughts. And he was getting in the zone because like it is what it is with him at this point. Like he knows like he has to fight for his life basically in the arena. It gave himself a pep talk saying like, "Yo, I'm coming back. I'm not going home." He was getting himself ready. So you got like we always say like you gotta stay ready before you gotta get ready, whatever that thing is. Anyways, but yeah.
I'm weak. Nah, yeah, whatever, Chris. Congratulations. Keep it up.
And Josh talked shop with Michelle and Chris about like who Chris wants to go against. Chris said he wasn't scared to face either Wes or Bananas. He was fixated on picking out one of them in Nation. And nobody wanted to see Wes in the final, which is interesting because Wes hasn't seen the final recently on the main show, whereas Bananas has. But Bananas has also flopped in finals recently, so it's a toss up between both of them.
Now I think they really past resume with in terms of Wes winning his final. Like Wes just won a final. Bananas was in a final, but obviously he lost because he had Nani. So it was just like it's hard for them to see Wes and Bananas, like Wes not being the one to win. Once he gets into the finals, I think it's just a different gear for him. So I just think that that's probably what we're looking for in the future going against him. But Josh is not even making it to the final to even be worried about that. So this is where he just is like, he's trying so hard to make fetch happen, and it's just not happening.
Yeah, he was like, I'm down to vote for Wes, but I'm like, I'm struggling. I'm struggling. So that's my friend. That is not your friend. That man don't like you. But he would Josh said he would rather just save Bananas over Wes. He's like, we'll try like this push for Wes. Um so yeah, we get to the secret votes. I thought when I saw like everybody vote, it was like kind of all over the place. The Hopper said otherwise a little bit. Later on, we got to Josh trying to figure out his vote. He's like, I don't know what to do. He starts falling. And he's a mess. He's a wreck. He's like, I don't know what to do. This is my friend. Sir, vote for yourself. That's it. Just let it go. Like, are you're obviously you're scared of Wes. Just say that. But you crying over this man and he don't care for you this whole time.
Yeah, not to. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but listen, Josh is ridiculous. Him crying over Wes at this point is just laughable. And like I said, him and Cassidy is in the same boat. At least Cassidy has a little bit of a gripe because Wes actually did vote for her. Josh has just made this up from the straight beginning, which is like even more ridiculous for him to be on this Wes train and he loves Wes so much, but yet you're gonna vote for like you're gonna look after yourself in the long run. Like, please, Josh.
So we go to the arena. The winners picks in Alyssa and Chris come out, and then we see the Hopper votes. For the guys, Wes got 3 votes. Wes said he knew at least 2 of the votes. He didn't know where the third vote came from. We saw later on, obviously, we know who that was. Tyler got 7 votes, and Bananas got 2 votes. For the women, Tori got 2 votes as well. Michelle got 1, and Cassidy got 9. And she was getting pissed because, like, oh, Survivor Girls got an alliance without me and they voted me in. Duh. You were at the bottom of the Survivor people in the first place. Of course, they would vote you in. At this point, we're close to the final. Why would they try and keep you?
Again, Cassidy's on the delusion train, just like Josh. Like she's trying to make sense of what's happening in front of her, and either she's stretching the truth so far to make up what's going on in her mind, or she's just not seeing the picture right in front of her. What I don't like is her keep coming at, like, talking to people with words and not backing up her actions. Like, at least you could have done something so far that people would have been like, okay, like, besides elimination, because elimination is one thing, but clearly they keep trying to get you out because you're a layup. So, like, bro, the fact that she keeps trying to bark at people, and then she's like, this the strong girl alliance is trying to get me. It's just like, girl, nobody is trying to make you weak. No one's trying to make you less than what you are, whatever. But it's just like, girl, get out. Like, it's time for you to go. Like, pack your bags. It's time for you to leave. That's it. That's all they want.
And she hasn't won anything since the team format. So I'm like, you, it's better shut up or just show improve. Like we said, eliminations, you kind of got that. But everything else, your resume on the show so far, you come to this game, you end up by proxy having an issue with Wes because he voted for you unintentionally because he got bamboozled. That's the issue. And you was like, I'm going to West. That made you an outlier for everybody else because nobody cared what you had going on. They still don't care what you got going on. So that's where you lie at this point in the game. And we're close to the final. Like, you got to go. Time's up. So we have Wes versus Chris and Cassidy versus Alyssa in a game called Ripped Off. And this was good battles between both heats, and then the women and the men. The girls got scrappy. And Wes got his ass whooped. I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, first of all, at some point I started rooting for Alyssa just because I saw the grip that she was able to get on Cassidy and kind of like fight her way over like her grabbing her. But ultimately Alyssa got like, she I was just like, Alyssa, why would you, like, she wasn't fighting back at all at one point. It was just like really embarrassing to watch. Like, she was quote unquote trying, but it just didn't give me like she was putting enough energy. Like, your thinking cap was not on. Like, what were you doing the whole time? Like, for her on offense, she was great. When it came to defense, oh my gosh, like, girl, you have an advantage, and she didn't use that at all. And as for Wes thought he had an advantage. He thought, like Tori said, he could be Peter Pan, and he ended up straight on his face. Like, when Chris grabbed Wes and literally starts snatching those freaking patches off of him, I'm like, yo, you letting this man sun you like that? Like, that's crazy. And you, like, at one point he had gripped his beard. Like, Wes, I think it is absolutely right you don't come back on this show. I think he did the absolute best thing for him and moving on to be with his family, because you let a man grip your beard up like that, it's crazy to me. After all the nonsense that you talk out of all people. Like, Chris did what he needed to do, though. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, as much as I really don't care for Chris, like, Chris got it done, and that's all you can say over West. Like, I can't.
That's the way. Like, what? Okay, so obviously, women's heat, the girls were scrappy at one point. It was very close. I thought Alyssa had a chance. Obviously, she didn't. She lost to Cassidy because Cassidy had 9 out of 10 patches over her. Alyssa managed to get 8. Props to her for that. But Cassidy had the edge of that one extra patch. They were good. Done. Cassie's back in the game. On the guy's side, obviously, but that was the main event. I'm sorry. Like, seeing Wes, elimination, any of the vets, like guys in elimination, that's the main event against an underdog of sorts, like a guy like Chris. And we've seen Chris elimination so far this season where he's hunkered down. Like, we felt when he did the Dusty. And then he really hemmed up Buzz. Like, after Wes was flying like Peter Pan, he just sideswiped, grabbed him up, locked him in by his legs, and just started just snatching and throwing him off. Dad was like, "Hey, it is what it is. Like Wes, you couldn't evade him as much." She was like, "Oh, he was good in the first half. I'm gonna give him that." He, but once Chris switched up and like caught him, Wes was done for.
Yeah, it was over for Wes. And I mean, at that point, like I said, I'm glad he's retiring off of that one because that was just a doozy for him to lose. Like, honestly, I don't know how he even allowed Chris to do that to him after all the strategy he was yelling about and hyping himself up. This is what I said. Every time I saw Wes this episode, hyping himself up, gassing himself, like, yeah, I could do this, I could do that, da, da, da. I did not believe him one bit. Like, at all. I'm like, this guy's losing. And as soon as he lost to Chris, I'm like, yo, I fucking knew it. I called it. Like, dude, like, go home and be a family man at this point. It's been 18 years. Shout out to Wes for, being on the show for so long. He took a break, came back, all that other stuff, but he should have just went out on his win on All Stars. I will forever say that because just go out on top on a win. Like, it's really not necessary for you to keep coming back. But I mean, Wes just got sent into the sunset. I don't know if that's uh worse or better than a final where he had to um what I think he either carried Evan Kenny, or I'm not even gonna talk about
One
these
of
people,
them,
but
yeah.
one of them, what I'm talking about. It's just like, bro, like, you just gotta go home. Like, take your ball and go home, bro. And I'm glad that
Yeah.
he is. And Chris kind of was just like, Chris was kind of little gleeful. Like, he was just like, oh, I kind of just sent Wes home. Like, because he really had to gas himself up once he called out Wes in front of Josh and Michelle. So he kind of like geeked up himself and was just like, oh, I kind of just beat Wes. And once Wes gave his little goodbye speech, TJ was like, well, I hope to see you, but if we don't, he just pretty much like threw the rocking chair at him, was like, all right, go ahead. Just go home. But once Wes gave that speech and Chris was kind of like looking like, yeah, I'm kind of him. I was like, all right, now I can see how you kind of won your season. Like, I kind of see it now, but I'm still not rooting for you. I want you to go home. Cassidy, this girl in her speech,
Woo, child.
girl, Cassidy decided after Alyssa was sent home, TJ was like, well, we want to see you again, blah, blah, blah. She leaves. Cassidy was like, TJ asked, was like, oh, you're going back to the house. Cassidy decides to say, oh, it's just because they think I'm weak. Like, they have a strong girl alliance back there and they don't want me to be down here. Like, blah, blah, blah. She won elimination. Now she's won twice. All of a sudden, she's the next coming challenger supreme. Like, girl, pack it up. No one cares. And once Chanel basically clocked her and was like, listen, we gonna show you why you a layup. Like, you gotta go home. I was like, I'm rooting for Chanel heavy. I want Chanel to do something. Please. Like, Chanel talks too, and Chanel ain't doing nothing. Chanel, I need you to actually participate in the daily, or win a daily, or do something. Because we all know the pedigrees of Desi, Michaela, and Tori at this point. Even Michelle a little bit. But I need Chanel to pick it up. Because what she told her, we gonna pack you up and like send you home for real. I said, "Oh, Chanel, I like it."
I love the energy. I just need the action behind it. We're saying. Because when Cassie looked back, she was like, hey. Like, I'm like, Chanel looked at her like, I'm here. You can say that to me in my face. But Michelle was like, I know I'm not part of that. Like, go look at me. Just, I was like, shut up, Michelle. Of course you're not part of that.
Yes,
You
of
wasn't in the
course.
room.
Like I said, Michelle was. She did vote for her Cassie essentially though, so she is a part of that. But at the same time, I just think that, of course, Michelle's trying to just attach herself further. Like, she's probably the next up to go, honestly.
Yeah, because she's played her cards well thus far, but she has been a little bit messy. like her vote earlier in the season. Her relationships only get her so far, just like Josh. I think her and Josh are next to go. Because it's time for it's about that time for him to get his butt out of the game. So yeah, they're running the same. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that was that recap. That next week though, they gonna be tussling for real. I saw Michaela had Tori hemmed up. Okay, we saw the hair pull. Now we see action, body on body. I'm very excited for that. Tori gonna get her comeuppance again, and that's gonna be hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I did see what the challenge looked like, and if it was anything after the last one we saw when they did that in the previous season, it's definitely gonna be some bowls being thrown. So I want to see that happen.
Yeah. So with that being said, we're gonna get into the tweets. A lot of the tweets are like on par with what we've been saying, but I just want to get into some deep with some of them. So the first one, Michelle sobbing in the background as TJ is explaining the elimination rules is taking me out. LMAO, dried up, Michelle. You won Survivor. Because you saw her face when he was explaining it, she was like, uh, very placid. And like, she was glad she was not in there. Because if she was, I don't know what the heck she would have done.
Panic like she always does. Like, it's Michelle.
Yeah. The next tweet, Josh crying over West of all people. Mind you, this is what West said about him preseason. Question: who were you surprised to see return this season? I'm really surprised Josh is back. I mean, he's not very good. He has a really long track record of sucking at this, and the fans rightfully dislike him. If he's not liked on the fan side and he's not good on the at the game side, I don't understand exactly what he's doing there. But he's goofy, so maybe he'll provide some goofy moments.
That tells me everything. Like, Josh, open up your ears, please, and release that thick tongue from talking to understand what he's saying to you. Like, bro, he don't like you. Like, stop trying to make fetch happen. Again, him, Josh, between Josh and Cassidy, I really can't. But Josh was really butthurt. Like, he was really boohoo crying butthurt off of that. And it was just like, okay. He was crying over this more than he was crying over Tiffany. Like, please.
And when Wes asked him, like, "Oh, you vote for me," like, he just started crying. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's ask why'd you do it. I'm sorry. In this, eyes are red. Stand on it. You don't gotta tell the man sorry. He just wanted an answer. Just be straight up. But you can't do that either. So that is what it is. The last tweet, the cast when they see Wes walk in on set for season 40 after his dramatic ass eulogy.
We
Oh,
tired
hold
of
on.
Wes. Oh, come on. I was about to say, because I'm tired of him.
Oh, I forgot my volume's not on. Sorry.
What's up with that? What's up with that?
What's up with that? We gonna see you again. It may not be on 40. We talked like before we got on here. But it's gonna be here sometime soon. Sometime soon.
Yeah. I, he's going to come back. Like, that's just the bottom line. He's not, quote unquote, retired for good, I don't think. I think he's going to try to at least to get 20 seasons in. He's at 18 right now. We'll see what happens with when his wife has the baby and how, like, he adjusts to that and whatever. But I doubt that he will retire forever.
Yeah, I feel like at one point he will, obviously, but let's get him on something else aside from the challenge. How about that? Like, if only he was on a certain show that's gonna be coming out next year. He could have been on a show called The Traders, instead of Bananas. But that is what it is. As he could have been great on there, but We'll see.
I don't care about West, Megan. Move on.
Oh, that's all the tweets from this week. That's it. We'll see how next week goes, but this week was funny. Congratulations on 18 seasons, Wes. But that was the funniest way to go out.
Wes, I mean, I don't know what to say. You've provided good TV, I would say, for a while. It's been a lot of other things that you provided that I did not appreciate, but at the same time, you've been on my TV for 18 plus seasons. So, I mean, you've kept me entertained. That's all I can say. Thank you guys for listening. We're going to wrap it up. We have one more episode before the final. So, it's anyone's game at this point. I don't know. I would say I don't know who I'm completely rooting for. It's Desi. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at Zoot Alliance Pod. You can follow Megan at Megs and Hines. You can follow myself at Ace_S5. And you can follow us on YouTube at Zoot Alliance Podcast. We'll be back next week to discuss more of the challenge. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.